Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from the world today. Today, we are here talking about fabric planning. And from that perspective, we are all curious about what it is. This was just announced and whatnot. So, today's presentation is actually going to be a more deep dive discussion about what it is rather than demo focused. We're going to do those as well, but there is a lot of question because guess what? Not every one of us was at FabCon. So that's the game plan today. We're going to go ahead and get started with some simple introductions and then we'll go right at it. It'll be great if you are joining from different parts of the world, if you let us know where you're joining from. At the same time, I will go ahead and hand this over to Gopal for his introduction and why we are chatting.
Yeah, thank you, Khalid. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, for joining. And pretty excited because it has been years in the making to bring planning to Power BI, but actually it arrives with Fabric on top of your Power BI semantic models. And I want to thank the Microsoft leadership team, Arun and Amir and Deepthi, to have the vision to bring planning and EPM to the Power BI community, and pretty excited to share more about it with you all today.
Awesome, awesome. So I think I usually don't like to spend much time on my introduction, but I'm going to do an exception to that simply because I think it makes sense to come clean about a few things, right? So I'm an accidental data professional. By why did I always usually say I'm an accidental data professional? Now I run data crafters as a principal, solution architect, whatnot. I have gone to the light side, dark side, whatever you want to call it. I actually started in finance. I was a finance director where Excel chased me out of, I could not figure out a way to plan. So I learned Power BI to plan, not the other way around. I was not trying to find a write back solution on Power BI. I learned Power BI so I can write back plan on it. That started my Power BI journey in 2016. So I have gone through, but Power BI took me to hero stage, I guess. I got dragged in to become chief data officer and things like that. But the key part over here, some of you might be familiar with my good friend Paul Barnhurst. I even wrote a guide called Planning Guide for Power BI. I need to update a new version for that planning for Fabric, but again, there's not much of a guide given there's only one native option. But again, on that note, there's a bunch of stuff to cover. What does native mean and everything? With that, let's maybe jump straight into it. And just looking at the chat, we got people globally. This is pretty exciting. France, Germany, Houston, Iowa, Milwaukee, India, even Slovakia. So, welcome everyone. I know this is an exciting time with this technology. So,
700 registrants, 700.
that's a record for us. And that's in 7 days, right? We did it. This was posted about a week ago. So, welcome everyone. So, I think let's jump right into it, Gopal. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think I used to work for this guy that he was simple. What is it? So what? Why do I care? And now what? What do I do about it? Right? So, take it away, right? So, what does fabric planning mean?
Uh, so fabric planning, basically, obviously everybody calls it FP&A tool, or somebody calls it an XP&A tool, or somebody calls it an enterprise performance management tool. Principally, customers want to be able to capture the budgets and the forecasts, and basically to be able to do their variance reporting. And then if you really think about it, the planning market typically is dominated by Oracle, SAP, and IBM. And funny enough, 70% of the planning happens in Excel, and 70% of the planning software is still on-prem. And it's probably more stickier, as stickier as ERP is, and it's probably the closest to the C-suite. Guess what? They are not measured by ERP. They are measured by did they meet their budgets and forecast? Because if you look at the stock price goes up or down based on did they meet the street estimates. What is street estimates? That's how they arrive at their goals and targets and budgets for the quarter and the year. And uh, typically, BI has been always a separate BI systems. You had the ERP systems, you had transactional systems, you had BI separately. Then people wanted to do the budgets, and then people wanted to do the forecast, but they were always a silo, basically. And we envision to bring all of that on top of the your actuals or the semantic models, because customers have already invested. And then comes with your master data, and then your reporting, variance reporting on top of it. So fabric planning is nothing but a complete suite. A
All right,
complete suite.
let's give the audience a little bit better understanding, right? You have a curse of knowledge. You just mentioned a couple of different things. So you're saying that's integrated and whatnot, but you're saying within fabric planning, we have three types of sheets. Where did the sheets idea come from? From Excel worksheets, maybe?
Excel, but Excel has only one sheet type, but we still use Excel for everything, right? Why is our company called Lumal? We wanted to take the world from Excel to Lumal. Lumal means a brighter world. So we have this vision that Excel was never purpose built. So we wanted to build something purpose built for your more analytical, more planning situation. That's where you came up with the idea of the sheet types, and you have a sheet type for just managing your master data, reference data. So when we talk about data management, it's most underlooked, and I have to thank Khalid for Power Table. Power Table is our data management offering because, yes, Khalid was my customer 10 years back, and we go a long way. And I come from an SAP background. I've been an
We'll
entrepreneur.
just we'll do a different recorded session with that. How
Yeah,
I killed your SAP project that led you to Power BI. Our
exactly.
path
So
crossed wrong. Like the people wouldn't understand how our path crossed the first time.
yeah, and then the first 8 years of Visual BI was all SAP, SAP BI, SAP BPC, SAP HANA, and SAP Business Objects. And I just saw firsthand how Khalid was able to use Power BI and Kibble, our analytics cloud project. And that really prompted, I have to really seriously take Power BI seriously. This is 2016, by the way.
Yeah.
And I slowly started by 2017. We decided to move lock, stock, and barrel. By 2018, we were fully moving all our assets into Power BI. And it was all custom visuals. And when I talked to the Microsoft leadership, Arun and Amir at the time, they said, "Hey, we really like your value, and we want you to bring planning to Power BI." The journey started 8 years back. They were very clear. Okay, you have a lot of assets, you have a lot of visuals, but we care about planning. So the journey really started about 8 years back.
So hear you. So I think if I summarize, right, if we look at the three components of, and this is the part we want to spend a little time on it, right? So the section about planning, I think we might have your slides specifically for that. Let's talk about maybe Power Table first. I mean, this is close to my heart. I think we'll talk about it later as well. Power Table, in this most simplest concept, it is a table management system. If we look, because we have everybody of us has this table, lookup table that we need to control and whatnot. From simplest perspective, we can just throw a fabric like a fabric SQL table that we can manage and whatnot. But this is goes as fancy as it gets, like a full app perspective, drop downs, dependent columns, approvals, and whatnot, right? So this is probably one of the things that, regardless of you're in finance or whatnot, this use case exists pretty much. I would say 99.99%. I would say 100%, but like there's always that 0.001%. But this is something that I would say that's there, right? Anything you want to add before we kind of go into the planning and whatnot? I know we have some demo videos that we're going to show as well.
Yeah. So, Power Table, I obviously, Khalid was one of the ones about 3, 4 years back said this is an unmet need in enterprises. People still use Excel. You have master data systems, okay? but you don't really have what is called as a reference management system software. What is it is, think about a futuristic master data. You are always hiring 10 new employees. Obviously, if you hire 10 new salespeople, they are going to have an impact to your budgets and forecast. You are always launching a new product. They are not going to exist in the master data system because you are thinking about it. You are planning to launch something, but it has an implication on your budgets and forecast. It has an implication on your reporting. How is it going to impact? So it needs to be part of your kind of take the master data and then you enhance it to add the futuristic master data. And then you have a lot of lookups around it. You want to, let's say you have an ERP hierarchy, but from a reporting, you want to report it differently. You want to change the hierarchy, group countries or state differently. How do you do it? You don't really have a system to do all of that. Power table is, the way I look at Power Table is, think about it like a Microsoft Access, or think about why you use an Airtable, or why you use a Smartsheet. But this is integrated to your planning and also your reporting. That's
This
the
is
beauty
exciting.
of.
I think for this one, I'm stealing my own thunder, right? I'm working with Artur, and this is probably going to be one of the sessions we'll be doing at the end of this month, where we'll show you how to set up Fabric power tables, planning power tables. There's a lot of question I've seen. We're going to try to handle the question at the end, but please keep throwing out the questions out there. One of the common question I'm seeing that you're in the capacity, but it's not deployed. The first thing you need to check, even if it's deployed, you are not going to see it. A tenant admin has to turn it on. You need to find your tenant admin friend. There's some resource at the end. You can see how to do that. You need to turn on plan because this is a preview feature. The tenant admins has to turn this on. Unlike Power BI, we used to have the preview features on our desktop. Most of the preview feature in Fabric has to be turned on by a tenant admin. So I just want to kind of, because I saw a couple of questions around that. So I wanted to handle that. Now let's talk about the next one. So from
Uh, I do wanted to throw some color into the regions. I think one of the things is, I'm going to put it on the, if somebody can add it to the chat in LinkedIn, all the supported regions. About 70-80% of the regions are supported, but some very popular regions like some of the US East and all of that, currently they are infrastructure limited, so they have limited any new service, Fabric service from adding. But we are working with the Microsoft, they are actively looking at bringing more regions online. It has been escalated because there is a huge demand for this new offering, planning, and so please hang in there. Khalid did bring up a point that, did the tenant admin enable this new workload or item, the Fabric IQ workload? But most importantly, the region, it's not available. It's more of a Microsoft capacity. You can escalate it to your account representative if you are a large enterprise. But in general, Microsoft itself is actively trying to make it available to more regions. It's not a lot, but the big regions are still not supported yet. But I'm hoping it should be available fairly soon.
Yeah. I think one of the other thing that if you guys don't know how to do it, if you have a good friend in admin, you can actually set up trials in different workspaces. Again, this is private, like, so this is preview stuff. Don't put production stuff in it because Fabric workspaces don't move regions. But if you want to go really play around with it, you can get a separate account to spin up a trial in a different environment. But here's the link on the screen right now. But at the same time, it'll be in the chat as well for you guys to take a look at that. But now let's talk about the planning plan, right? So from that perspective, we have Fabric planning, and these are called planning sheets. Now we have, so I guess I should have said I'm a certified financial planning analysis professional, FPAC, certified management accountant, and all that good stuff, right? I don't know about good stuff. I am a recovering accountant. But like, think about from a budget perspective, right? We are planning for expenses, our good old templates that we send out, right? So Power BI had the visuals that showed the actuals, but we could not really type it in, right? I think that's where all the write back solutions got developed, right? But now this is the problem we're talking about, but there are more to that. I think like top down, bottom up, meaning can I enter the number at a quarter level that it distributes to month, right? can I then go back into the month and change one, right? This is going back up. So that means this is a concept of splashing, I think is the right technical word. Go ahead.
Allocations,
Right.
basically allocations. Yeah.
So now that part is done. The two part I want you to kind of focus on, Gopal, is like, what does multidimensional models mean, right?
Yeah.
And what colors can you add to that? At the end of the day, like, we like fast. Why is it fast? Nobody cares, right? So
Yeah.
right back to Fabric SQL and whatnot. From a CISO perspective, it's contained. So if you can tell me what does the multidimensional, what should people try to understand as they look at this technology? Because most of the time, finance people, they're talking to different vendors and whatnot. They don't talk about technology. But if you could give a little bit color on that, that would be great.
Got it. So if you look at the universe of the planning technology, basically, if you look at it, most software, pretty much most software use what is called as a multidimensional planning. I mean, multidimensional planning is what are the dimensions? I want to plan by, let's say, region, and I wanted to allocate it by product. But sometimes what happens is you have salespeople carrying the quota. So you assign targets to the salespeople, but you want to then, okay, how should I do that? So you want to, that's where the salesperson becomes the third dimension. And then you may say, I want to do it by distribution channel. That becomes the fourth dimension. But then there is a time dimension, because do you want to plan at a monthly level, or do I want to plan at a quarterly level? And sometimes people plan by quantity, because if you take your supply chain planning and all, demand planning, inventory planning, quantity comes into place. Sometimes you want to plan, but the unit price plays a huge role, because sometimes you sell the same quantity, but then you can tweak the price to make actually more money. So there is a lot of different multidimensional elements involved in the planning.
And also think, I'm guessing along the line, right? We can do scenario plannings and stuff like that.
Correct.
So
Right.
essentially, like where I would be sitting on the CEO's office, like, hey, what if we change the pricing from structure for this? We are kind of
Exactly.
looking at that. So this is like all the standard stuff that we would do. And for us, we're like, hey, give me 2 weeks. Let me go run a separate scenario, build out all this.
Right.
This is something that's kind of
You can. Yeah.
becoming baked in.
Yeah. So now the beauty of fabric planning, is outside of Excel. This is the first software that can actually do a row-based modeling, where row-based modeling is where you actually insert rows. You can actually insert rows. You can insert. So there is a on the product, you have something called a model builder, which is where our value. So if people understand, our value was one of our very, very strong row-based modeling or a driver-based modeling software, where you have operational drivers and financial drivers. You build a relationship and you do it. That's a planning methodology based on a certain scenario you may do. You may then come up with a tree, and then you do a simulation, and then you can do a scenario. What if this? What if that? You can do all of that. Now you think about the InfoRiver write back matrix way, which is a set of tools where you do the insert columns. Basically, you insert a measure, you do that. And that is a style of planning. You have a top down or a bottom up based on that. And then you can do a trend based allocation. And then you can think of it as where the measures drive based on the dimensions, and you do that. That is also supported. We have introduced a brand new planning method called a cube based or a multidimensional cube based, where you have a couple of dimensions in the front end, but then you have a lot of invisible dimensions or the breakdown dimensions on the back end. And then you are able to do it, which is more of a traditional how the legacy tools do it. But the multidimensional plan, we are able to introduce it, but it is self-service because it is built on Power BI. Unlike any other software, you can actually connect to the semantic model, create the baseline, and finish it in the next 10 minutes, basically.
We love our semantic models.
Yes. So that's the one. And the fourth method, we are also introducing a fourth method called integrated planning or the connected planning, where you take your largest dimension, because this is an unsolved problem in a lot of the soft tool. Let's say I have customers, I have 20,000 customers. I want to plan at a customer level, right? Or I have a lot of, like, take a Walmart or a Costco. I have a lot of products. I have a lot of SKUs. I want to plan at that level. they create dimensionality sparsity because those dimensions are huge. Most tools cannot support that kind of a volume, that level of granularity. That is where what we have done is we have integrated the power table and we have integrated the planning sheet where you plan your high dimensions. When I say high dimensions, it could be your suppliers, it could be your customers, it could be even employees. Think about I have 500,000 employees. I want to plan salary for 500,000 employees, but then I want only the sum to flow through. What is my salary burden or my bonus burden? It will live feed into the planning sheet. That's why we have 3 sheet types where you are able to go down to that level of grain, and then it is live integrated. So you immediately think about how Excel works, sheet to sheet communication. We have replicated that at scale with governance. And then you can do scenarios on top of it. And because it is integrated to the semantic model, you are able to do rolling forecast without doing any ETL, because your actuals can roll in every month. And then you say this period is closed. Automatically, it will use the actuals from the prior closed month. This is also open period formulas, closed period formulas. All of what is very, very complex consulting implemented, we have made it no code and self-service.
All right, let's
And
talk
again,
more about it. Like, I think we're going to show some demos and whatnot. Let's talk about intelligence first, right? And then
yeah,
we'll show some demos because I want to spend more time on so what and now what part. Because the
got
reason
it.
is I want to ask some hard questions. I'm pretty sure the audience has some hard questions to ask and whatnot. So I want to give time for that. What is intelligence sheets?
So the reporting or the BI goes hand in hand with planning. Why do you do budgets and
So you're
forecasts?
saying that we might have an option of going beyond Power BI's visual limitations sometimes?
Yes. So this one, if you really think about it, typically what you do is you do the write back. Why do we even do the write back? You do the write back of budgets and forecasts, so you can bring it to Power BI and then do the actual versus budget or actual versus forecast variance. But it again, the write back and the composite modeling, it's true. So what we did was we brought the intelligence component or the no code variance analysis. By the way, fabric planning is IBCS certified also. So
Okay.
this is IBCS certified
For the
also.
people who doesn't know, it's the International Business Communication Standard. If you saw those fancy charts where it automatically just put actuals and budget, it automatically does black, gray, delta with the red and up and down and all that fancy definitions, right? The, those are some nice charts. So you're saying this is already IBCS certified?
Yes, it is. It has 100 plus chart types. This probably has way more chart types than even Tableau, Click, or Spotfire has. Way more. It has a Gantt chart built in. Our famous
Shot
Express
fired.
Gantt.
I mean, like there's one thing that we as Power BI users always got shot from Tableau is that our visual game was not great. So maybe we can finally give them a run for their money.
Yes, it's all connected to the semantic model. The beauty is your budgets and forecasts are immediately available, instantly available. So you don't have to do a write back and then get it. So you can do instant variance analysis. That's why it is integrated as part of fabric planning. As a complete EPM, CPM suite, it's fully integrated.
All right, sounds good. Let's go look at InfoBridge. I think this is one that connects, stitches it together, right? This is something that happens behind the scene.
Correct. This is what does a lot of the advanced workflows behind the scene for you, because what happens is one of the things, again, this is something that other tools are not doing it efficiently. So we were able to study with a lot of our enterprise customers and do it right. For example, every country, I want to do a revenue plan, but US will plan at a different grain compared to Canada, because Canada brings in only 3% of the revenue. So they may say, I don't want to do it at a, so you can allow different planning sheets by country, and the InfoBridge will actually transform it and put it
So
together and do it for you.
let me put this simply from my planning days, right? So there's two concepts, right? When we build one most interconnected models, right? The model's great because it has interconnected, but the amount of complexity it creates, that means I cannot create a complex scenario at a revenue level or an expense level, at a production level or whatnot, right? So there's two parts, if I understand correctly. That means I can build my revenue model, which is as detailed as things for the sales team needs. Production model kind of has its own thing, and then it can take the feedback from one model to the other And finally, there's a model that brings all of them together so I can see the entire P&L. Right. So this is what's kind of happening behind the scenes. So that's kind of one example. And the other one that you're mentioning is even if you are multi-org, you want to have a revenue model for US versus Canada.
Because they can do it in local currency. They can, each of them can do in their own local currency and then do the FP&A group currency transformation at the end. So that's the InfoBridge gives you a lot of different kind of localized options, transformation options, and then do a consolidated write back also.
All right, sounds good. Let's go take a look at the video that was shown to us in FabQuant.
Basically, yeah, I think that would also answer the question. This has most comprehensive security settings on which user can do what. I think if you plan the enterprise planning video, Khalid, the one, yeah.
Let's get this one off the stage. Let's add the enterprise planning video.
Hello. I'm the Chief Sales Officer at Acme Beverages. My CEO has asked me to submit a plan for achieving a revenue of $19 billion in 2026. To create a revenue plan, I'll go to my
Is the audio kind of skipping on you, Gopal?
Yes, audio is skipping on me. It's probably the stream yard issue, but we could share the links for the video so the audience could actually watch it at their own leisure.
We'll send out this as well because for some reason it's doing.
I've assigned dimensions and measures to the canvas, with the prior year revenue organized by product hierarchy and time period. To start planning, let's add columns to our template.
We'll go ahead and share this video out. I'll post this out part of resource. For some reason, the demo are always fun. Even in recorded scenario, looks like we are having some issues on that. But we'll get this videos posted for you. No worries. We'll get this videos posted for you. Maybe we can go ahead and take a look at, try a different video. Maybe you want to try the multidimensional one. Let's try this.
Let me show you how to plan your revenue with multiple dimensions. We have 5 planning apps. Each one of them has different business contexts. Our first app has got 6 dimensions. Let us create a measure. Name it Revenue Plan, and add a breakdown, which includes the 6 dimensions of this app. We'll input $85 million as our total revenue plan and distribute this value using the weights of last year's actuals.
This is the top down and bottom down.
To simulate the revenue plan measure in all the apps, we simply select each app and insert the revenue plan measure from the data pane. For better visibility, let us hide the last year's actuals. Observe that the revenue plan is now showing $85 million in the second app. Now, let us increase the revenue plan of the United States by 10%, which also adds up to the total.
We're going bottom
up. In the
up
third
now.
app, let's add $1 million more to the e-commerce channel within the United States. Our fourth app has 3 dimensions. Let's distribute the total revenue plan using the weights of last year's actuals. Now, we focus on New York and add another $200,000 to the plan. These 3 cities relate to United States, and their revenue plan sums up to $26.91 million. This is exactly showing as the revenue plan of the United States in our 5th app. Finally, when we switch back to the first app, we notice that the revenue plan is respecting simulations on the 6 dimensions and has seamlessly integrated with the other 4 apps. Microsoft Fabric can now look forward and think ahead.
I think one of the questions was on the security. If anybody notices on the top of the video, you see a security. If you hit that button, it will open up the security settings where
you can go use the Windows AD group or put an individual user on who can do what. So it has very, very granular permissions, basically.
So from what I understand, the question somebody asked is if you enter something on the cell as plus 1 million and things like that, that does not say as formula, right? It gets converted into the addition and then it becomes a cell value. The Excel function doesn't stay there. However, you can have comments that will stay at the cell. Is that correct, Gopal?
That is correct. We support scaled numbers because nobody wants to put 1 million, 1 and 7 zeros. So it allows fast input experience with scaled numbers.
So that means we don't have to, because we like the data in as granular in decimal points possible, but we can plan it, show it million, billions, whatever I'm doing, and it respects that. But
Correct.
It's probably something that we need to learn as well, what to type correctly. All right, let's go look at the data management video quickly, because hopefully that one plays. And when I play the video, I'll try to go mute as well. I think there was some feedback from the group. Let me go ahead and add that.
Welcome. In this video, we're going to set up our Fabric Planning app with capability for reference data management. I've been asked to prepare the 2026 revenue plan by territory in Fabric Planning. I open my Fabric Planning item and configure it for territory planning using my direct lake semantic model. This is great, but as you can see, the territory name contains a combination of region, subregion, and customer type. I want to be able to plan hierarchically, but the source data does not support it. This is a common issue when working with planning or semantic model dimensions. But that's okay, because I can create a data management app using Power Table to add the missing data. I create the data management app and configure it to use the underlying SQL database in Fabric. I add columns for customer type and subregion. I then copy and paste the values from Excel into the new fields and save to the SQL database in Fabric. Next, I confirm that the new columns and values are in the analytics endpoint that feeds the direct lake semantic model. Finally, I refresh the direct lake semantic model to pick up the new columns. Switching back to the planning sheet, I can refresh to see the new columns and complete my planning sheet. And here it is, the 2026 Revenue by Territory application in Fabric Planning, ready to test and deploy with my stakeholders.
So we kind of showed the video. Again, we'll post the entire presentation and we'll figure out a way to get the videos up there as well. I think some of the video links are already public. If not, I will update it to somewhere and then I'll get access to that as well. So let's talk about this, right? I think it came out in public preview last month. So maybe a year worth of development. How many years of development is this? Like, what are we looking at from a fabric planning perspective? So it gives people a peace of mind, or what is the story behind it?
Yeah. So, like I started off saying that, Lumal has been in business for 16 years. And we have about little over 400 full-time employees. So
you are a 16-year overnight success?
Exactly. And if you look at our engineering team, well over 250 engineers. If you look at our case of engineering scale, and I like to jokingly say we are way bigger than the Power BI's own engineering team. But
I'm not getting in the middle of that.
Yeah. The main reason is I like to say that is we have basically been in. We started building this way before even Power BI came to market, because a lot of these assets started we building it from the SAP days. Especially the Valq, especially our pivot table. A lot of them, they have an origin. But most importantly, it has been a 10 plus years of journey, at least about the vision, but most importantly, everything we have built over the last 10 years. If you look at it, what we did with Valcue is the model builder in the fabric plan. What we built with the right back matrix is the planning sheet, the column based top down and bottom up, I think. The cube is a new capability that is only available with fabric planning. It's a multi-dimensional planning engine. The integrated planning is the info bridge, and the power table integration is again a new capability that we did not have in the Power BI visual world. We had editable as a visual in the Power BI for doing the master data, reference data management. And then everybody knows about our visuals, basically the InfoRiver Analytics plus the 100 plus charts, the InfoRiver Reporting Matrix. InfoRiver Reporting Matrix is widely used for financial reporting now. A lot of companies use it for P&L and do that. It's very, very popular. So fabric planning is nothing but a complete bundle of all our Power BI visuals that we built over the last 10 years, but integrated as one single unified product. All of the modules talk to each other, basically. It's not built with Power BI SDK. It's all built with a brand new fabric, a workload development kit, the extensibility, and it got integrated, now co-engineered with Microsoft as a native offering. But it has a lot of deep expertise.
Pro code before Claude showed up.
Absolutely, Claude. I wish Claude was there 2 years back, but it's a lot of sweat and tears to get here, basically. Now, the most important thing is in the last 2 years, we worked very closely on what is called as a first-party integration with Microsoft. So it feels extremely native to Power BI Fabric stuff. So when you all try it, you will see how tightly it is integrated to the Power BI service or the semantic models. You will experience it. And now it's tightly integrated to Fabric SQL as well. The Fabric SQL is the database that we use to write back the data and also the.
So one thing I want you to clarify, Gopal, right? In the old days when I wrote the guide for Lumel as a Power BI write back, you wrote to multiple destinations. Right now with Fabric planning, whatever, because Microsoft's naming convention is always fun. I think this is one thing they just like having fun with us. But from that perspective, the destination we are writing is Fabric SQL, correct?
Correct. The main reason for that is the concept of one lake and shortcuts and mirroring did not exist 5 years back when we launched the offering. The market has moved. If you really look at the Microsoft ecosystem or the market itself, customers don't like writing to multiple places, managing its security in multiple places.
So essentially, like when people are thinking about writing back, Fabric Plan is a solution to keep the data centralized where you are already.
In one lake, write to Fabric SQL, it will land in one lake. If you want to take it to Snowflake or Databricks, use the shortcut and mirror.
Perfect. The reverse part, because now we are completely interoperable between Databricks and Snowflake at this point.
Exactly. So it's a much simpler, leaner architecture.
All right. So I think let's start getting into more of the fun part. I think this is like what we're saying. It's not just a write back tool. It might be write back for some people, just thinking about like doing power table and stuff like that. But it's a planning suite. I know I come from finance. Obviously, it's close to my heart. But planning doesn't belong to finance. It belongs to everybody, right? So I think from that perspective, any organization that's planning, this is important. Now let's talk about, so what? Why do I care, right? So from that perspective, let's kind of talk through this, right? I'll let you talk to this, and then I'm pretty sure people will have some questions. I see some of the questions I want to come back to at the end, because specifically I have one of the hard questions for you.
Okay. I think I think a lot of you have seen me talk. I used to say we complete Power BI with InfoRiver. Now with Fabric Plan, we complete Fabric. We give the missing piece. But what does the first-party distribution mean is we wanted to make it very easy, because I don't know how many of you know, Lumal actually won the best overall vendor for EPM last year by BPM Partners. And Valq won the best financial modeling software in 2020. So Microsoft wanted to bring something that is extremely mature and complete on the planning category, but we wanted to eliminate what was the struggle for customers is everybody have to worry about data security, everybody have to individually install private tenant, and everybody will have to go through the procurement, vendor onboarding, and all of that. And Microsoft wanted to eliminate all of that with the first party distribution, which basically means this is Lumal stays at the backdrop, and I mean, you probably will not even see me in another 3-4 months as Microsoft internally ramps up on everything. And there is a dedicated team on the engineering side now. Now there is a lot of folks on the marketing and sales and support are getting ramped up. What does first party distribution means? It's all native to Microsoft. You don't have to buy a license. The other big thing is, for the first time in the EPM software, it's a true consumption-based pricing. Let's say you don't use it for 6 months in a year, you use it only during the budgeting season, you only pay for the months you use for. Basically, it's an activity, session-based pricing.
Like a lot of organizations that are still in cyclical budgets where they do technically there's 3 months of the year where we need 300 licenses for every manager to enter data. So they only pay for 3 months when they are active in that. So anytime they're active, you pay for 30 days from the way I understand. And that means you only, I guess this is not free. I think one of the things I want to kind of clarify, this is not free. But there's no separate pricing. Are you going to get a separate bill? No, you're just going to be eating from your Fabric capacity. Question is, do you have enough capacity or not? I'm guessing there's going to be a new calculator guide and all the stuff is coming down the pipe, right?
Yeah, so the good thing I wanted to tell you all is, right now, the billing meters are not set up. So if you really want to try it, April is the month you want to try it, because it's think of it as a kind of a free trial within a free trial. So it's there, and it will be a pure consumption, just like any other CU. It will consume CUs basically.
Okay, perfect. So I think there's, I don't want to take questions, but let me just kind of handle one question. There's a question about, are you writing back to a lakehouse? You wouldn't. You'd be writing back to the Fabric SQL. Fabric SQL is doing real-time mirroring. That is something you can shortcut to your lakehouse. That's how your direct lake can run and all that real stuff. So there is some really good hard question around CU consumption and whatnot planning. We'll try to come back to that. Chris, I see your question, and Alibra, a question around Fabric SQL and whatnot. We'll come back to those. But we have a few more things around here. Let's see. I think this last statement, right? I think we need some clarification, right? I think the way I see it, you tell me if I'm wrong, right? I have Microsoft 365 license, right? And I want to go make a presentation. I open PowerPoint. I want to go, I open Excel still pretty much most of the time, right? Open Excel to do something and that. So we can think of Fabric Plan as kind of the plan engine of the Fabric suite. Is that our easiest way to understand? For people, they will not know who Lumel is probably in a couple of months, right? From that perspective, I think, is that a good understanding, Gopal?
Yeah, I think the way everybody will have to look at it is, if you look at Copilot, Microsoft has a similar first-party distribution with the OpenAI. So you don't even think about that, oh, Copilot is not Microsoft. It's actually, the engine actually comes from OpenAI. And I believe they did another one with Anthropic recently. So now you have Cowork that is from, so it's a very similar construct of a thing where Microsoft.
I want to kind of highlight something, right? I mean, I have Cowork in Copilot. I do. I don't like it as much as I like Copilot Cowork. Sorry, Claude Cowork, right? But this is different, meaning the best product actually is in Fabric Planning, rather than you have a second distribution somewhere else, right? So if from a development growth perspective, Fabric Planning is where we're going to see all your investment.
Yes, that's basically going to be the place. It's going to be, and for all practical purposes, Fabric Plan is built on the Fabric data platform. And if you look at how the Microsoft itself has organized, they have organized themselves into three kind of streams: Work IQ, Fabric IQ, and Foundry IQ. The Foundry IQ gives you all the LLMs. Work IQ is your kind of your productivity, office productivity. The Fabric IQ is your whole data layer. So planning is part of the Fabric IQ pillar. So it's a kind of very strategically aligned. Hey, your data platform should have all your data. So we eliminate, for LLMs to work well, we need the context, which means all the data has to be in one data platform. That's the strategic importance for Microsoft to actually educate the market that, hey, you want to have your budgets and forecasts in the data platform. Let me tell you something. Fabric is the only data platform to have native planning. Nobody else has Snowflake, Databricks, nobody. So this becomes a strategic advantage on why you pick Fabric over a Snowflake or Databricks, because this will make a big difference, because you can't have budgeting and forecasting sitting in a siloed planning application because your AI is not going to have the context.
Yeah. So we want to move a little bit fast because we have a lot of questions coming up, and then there's a few things we want to hit. So from that perspective, I do have a contrary opinion. There is another party that actually has a planning on their platform, but it's funny because it's SAP. SAP Analytics Cloud has planning, but I think there's larger Power BI usage even in SAP customers, and no non-SAP customer use SAC, so they don't really I wouldn't call that an open data platform. But from a Microsoft perspective, the same reason Excel won, Power BI won, Fabric is winning. I think that's where Fabric planning, I would say, we don't know the future, but at the same time, this is what I think where the ducks are lined up or stars lined up. So I think this is something we talked about, the data silos already. Let's kind of just do a quick comparison, right? There's no separate license, nothing to buy, no CISO review, none of that stuff. You don't have to worry about data security. No, everything is in one place, right? You're just paying for consumption, which I think is pretty ballsy to say, like the approach to take, right? Saying that your product's good. If they don't use it, we don't make money, right? So I think this is where people can go ahead and get started easy. As we talk about getting started easy and whatnot, we'll make these things public. And if you guys continue to send out questions, we'll show you something else that we'll actually have to go update in a little bit. So we want to get to talk about this, right? Just to summarize, zero separate license, zero data extraction, zero additional security layers, right? It's already working with whatever you have configured.
Yeah.
It's taken on Power BI now to Fabric, and now going within Fabric, it's bringing that same simple and easy part, because because I have cautionary tales as you go around it, right? So I want to talk about now what we talked about, what it is, why it is amazing, how do I get started, what do I look at, and whatnot. In this one, Gopal, you stop me because I will speak my mind honestly, right? Some of you are asking how to get it on. Like as Gopal mentioned, there's already a link in there, the supported regions. If you're in the supported region, you still have to turn on the permission in admin portal. And then at the workspace level, you can do that. I'll send out this. There's a link that I posted about 2 weeks ago, I think, how to go turn it on. That will be available. Now, technology is no longer the issue, right? I mean, it's in preview, right? So there's always that caution. So as you're tinkering with this, technology is not an issue. You need to understand how good is your data. If you're going to model on your data, you're going to take a ride back on your data. How good is your data? How good is your dimensions? How have you thought about it? So if you have full EPM, CPM building practice, go hit the planning, go for it, right? Go push the boundaries and give Gopal a hard time. The more hard time Gopal gets, the better product we get. So from that perspective, if you come from that expertise, go do that. But for the rest of us, majority of the people, if you're coming from Excel, this is what I am planning to do, right? So in the next 90 days, this is my own plan, right? That's why you're going to see a session that comes down within the next month. I'll be announcing hopefully this week or something like that, where I'll show you how to use power tables, because this is something, is a core pain point. It's not something you're trying to do new. This solves a big problem for everybody and every use case. So that's one area I would focus on. The second one I would focus on is the intelligence for financial reporting. I learned how to do the 9-step DAX formula to do financial reporting, because Power BI Matrix cannot do the damn financial reporting, and it's a nightmare. This solves the problem out of the box, right? So that's one area I would go plan for it. Now, from a planning perspective, as I figure out and clean my master data and whatnot, the third thing that I plan to do is let's do expense planning. One of the biggest advantage of expense planning by all dimensions, think about like your cost centers, GL, profit centers, company codes, and whatnot. But it is simple because there's no multiplication involved. Because you're working on a number, there's no math involved and whatnot. That's my own 90-day plan, right? People can think about it other way. I know Gopal might say different, but I want to be honest about it, right? As you're starting, you want to build on success layers rather than trying to do the most complex thing and fail, right? So one of my most favorite quotes is, a thing that works is complex by design. Not by design, it's complex by nature. However, it did not start off as complex. It started as something simple that worked, and then it became complex over time, which works. But if you start with something complex to start with, you cannot make it work. You'll never make it work, right?
I think you are giving a very good suggestion, Khalid. I know you are biased to Power Table, but I would also recommend.
Success. Like the reason is,
I would also start with Power Table. The Power Table is the easiest to use of all the 3 sheets. 2, you are not going to get a pushback from your executives that we already have another planning tool. Power Table is basically an unmet need in the industry, so it's like a use case. It's more of a modernization of your manual process. So you start with Power Table, you get used to the writing back to Fabric SQL, you get into a lot of that, and then month 1, I also recommend do Power Table. Graduate gradually. The main thing is the beauty of the Microsoft's pricing. Hopefully, it will be announced, shared the billing meters. All of it is included, basically. There was a question by Persona. I can't reveal the pricing today, but I do wanted to share a small one on the 3 persona types. Hopefully, everybody can see my slide. Hopefully by next week, the billing meters I will be able to publicly share. But right now, what I can share is all of the sheets, everything. There are no multiple pricing plans or nothing. It's everything is bundled, and there are 3 personas basically. If you look at Power BI, there are only 2 personas. You have a developer and then you have a viewer. That's it. But in planning, you have 3 personas. Basically, you can say somebody who is basically authoring the plan or modeling a plan, or an administrator who sets up security and who can actually do that. And then there is a viewer, but there is a persona in between where most of the other planning tools, they don't want to really, they want to charge everybody like a planner, but Microsoft has come up with I think if you watched Amir's keynote presentation, he would say how he wants to disrupt planning with the Power BI like pricing model. So we are coming out with a very disruptive consumption-based pricing model and a very aggressive pricing model.
So if you verify, Gopal, one of the things like stakeholder versus viewer, if somebody is not doing edit and they're just viewing, for that month they're charged as viewer?
They are charged as a viewer, but the stakeholder, they get input rights, basically.
Okay.
That's the beauty. Now you go set it up in the app saying these users can actually input in the view mode, where they can approve, they can input comments, but they will be charged. So they won't be charged the planner rates, they won't be charged the viewer rates. There is a persona in between, but they can perform, they can enter budgets, forecasts, create scenarios, provide approval, save, write back. They can do all that, but they have only viewer permissions, basically. But they can't go and edit an input template. They can't go author anything new.
The planner is more of, I think this might be a feedback. I think the planner is more of an admin level, plan admin kind of concept.
author, think about author, think about a developer, think about
So
a
I think
developer.
maybe that's just a feedback. I think the stakeholder perspective, that's probably the better name for planner, right? I think that people planning and doing the input, stakeholder planner, whatever you want to call it. But I think the plan author might be a better name for the just my feedback. I think we can get, because it's coming up, right? So I think just make life easy for us.
Yeah, and there are again, we are working actively to iron out a few issues. I know if you are going and trying, you are going to run into some teething issues. We are sending in fixes. There are a bunch of fixes going in this weekend, but these are the common issues that the users are actually running into. Is it's not available in their region. So again, it's not a product issue. It's more of Microsoft infrastructure allowing the new things. Now, if your tenant has private link is not supported. This is one of the common problems where the tenant has private link enabled, but then they try to use the thing, it's not supported. If you try to use a browser with HTTP 1.1, it is not supported, but a fix for that is going in. Probably it will take a couple of weeks.
Let's not go down the rabbit hole right now, but let's kind
But
of go.
I want to just throw some things, but in general, if you set up the database connection and the DMTS connection properly,
Is there some more exciting questions I want to get to, Gopal?
Sure. Yeah,
so
okay.
One of the exciting thing, like as you can tell, this is changing. Obviously, a lot of things with finance and whatnot. I'm pretty excited to announce I already have one collaborator and a couple of more collaborators coming on board. We are excited to announce Finance Fabric User Group. It's a virtual group in Meetup. We're gonna start from the foundations from that perspective, and then we'll build on from there. So again, I'll be posting the announcement soon enough that Finance Fabric User Group is going live on Meetup and whatnot. And I'm partnered with my good friend Paul Barnhurst, who's going to be taking the step back. Like, hey, what is Fabric? We're going to start with what is Fabric for finance people, and then we'll build from there. So that's one big announcement I wanted to make. Apart from that, here are a couple of things. The resource for planning guide for Power BI that will be pushed out. I had fun last night. I only had 3 hours of sleep between Claude and whatnot. I have I'll just pull it out. It is ugly, to be honest, so guys don't judge me from that perspective. But you'd notice there is a new website live called Fabric Planning. What is Fabric Planning? As you notice, you're in the event here. There's an event coming up where Gopal is sitting down with Reed, I believe, right? And the LinkedIn content post and that I'm working on getting a Substack stand up and whatnot. There's a lot of frequently asked questions that's answered here. And thanks for a lot of the good questions. Whatever I don't get to it, I will go ahead and add that part of frequently answered questions over here. But this is an 8-hour Claude project that I did last night. That's why I only have 3 hours of sleep. However, this is full GitHub, CI/CD, and whatnot. I'll do a separate post about how this was built. But we'll live in a different world. So see more to come on that. And then this is where I'll kind of start getting more stuff between the Substack and whatnot. There's a lot of things moving pieces. There's a Microsoft Learn documents already out for Fabric Planning, so people can go try this out. The video library, it was already shared in the chat as well, but the links are also here for you to go ahead and take a look at this stuff. Now, let's have fun. So I know we're running out of time, but maybe we'll go 10 minutes over. Gopal, is that okay with you?
No, absolutely. That's why I wanted to.
Question I want to Gopal. I mean, this is not the first time Microsoft did this. This was a performance advantage or whatever, something that Microsoft did with planning solution and whatnot. And then like they killed it and people tried to adopt it. People tried to make a business out of it. All of that went bad. Why would what would give people the trust of going into Fabric Plan?
Again, that there is a reason why they did a first party distribution after they see actually win the best EPM award last year, and then they know how many large, in fact at FabCon they had one of our large enterprise customer work, So it's already a very, very popular product in 100 plus large enterprises, and Microsoft has closely seen us work for 8 years, and they know the scale of engineering and the size of engineering team we have. So they made sure, or double sure, or triple sure, to make sure we have the size, the scale, the credibility, the product maturity, the depth and breadth to actually win the category. So the vision is not to be yet another planning product. The vision is to completely outright win the category, like how Power BI dominates the BI space. So that's the game that we are onto. We are not trying to not think about the past that was 15 years, 20 years back. So they took a lot of the learnings, and they did it differently this time.
So I would say that instead of this being something that might work, has been working in large enterprises for a couple of years at this point, so that as the bugs get fixed out, I think we can feel pretty confident, like at the deployment cycle, we should get this into general availability soon. I guess, I don't know, I don't think you have a time, but like soon is the right sentence, maybe, right?
I think few months is probably right.
Yeah, that's good enough, right? We're talking about months. We're not talking about years.
No. I think we are already working on a lot of the pending items on the fundamentals, and at least this is my personal goal. Again, it's not Microsoft. We want to be GA by FabCon Bus. This is, again,
so this one question, like there's a lot of question about pricing. I'm going to take a shot at it, Gopal, then please correct me, right? So the way people need to think about Fabric planning license, there's two types of workload that's happening. Your license is not based on compute necessarily, it's based on the user activity type. So that's the first type of license, not license, like CU consumption. So if somebody acts like a author versus viewer versus contributor, that creates that, but there's no limit like how many places they can author. It's just whenever you're doing that activity, that creates that. So that's one thing they need to think about. But the SQL write processing, there's a SQL pool consumption. That's the two separate part. So that's pretty much both are on the CU consumption side, but there is no like Power BI Pro license or things like that. But from a capacity planning perspective, I think there's going to more be coming, but I'm guessing it's as simple as it could be. Like it's not exact. I mean, Microsoft pricing requires a PhD, but maybe this one will be work with a bachelor, not the master's or PhD. Is that a fair statement?
I think the pricing is going to be so aggressive compared to the current EPM market. It's just going to be no brainer for the customers right now. That's the only teaser that I can share.
Okay. Maybe these are some more technical questions, right? Is the personas based on workspaces, or is that at a...
So basically, it's a very valid question. I think when I shared the screen, so think about anybody who is going to actually build a planning artifact. Okay,
I think about an author. Is, like, how does the role deploy? Is this something we set up at an artifact level or a workspace level?
You set it up at the workspace level. You will either have so at a workspace level, you are either an admin, member, or a contributor, which means technically you can create. Now, if you create a plan artifact, you will be billed as a planner. But if you go into the view mode and just look at it, you will be billed as a viewer. But if you go in the view mode as a viewer, but then you have permissions to enter budgets and forecasts and comment and all, you will be billed as a stakeholder.
Question is, how do you deploy the permission for stakeholder? Like, because I don't want everybody to be a stakeholder.
You will do it in the plan artifact. You see the security settings where you have the security settings.
So there's a security settings artifact level.
There you will define the stakeholders. Or who is allowed to do the input. Basically.
So essentially we're adding people as viewers other than who wants to be planners. And then we are essentially deploying, okay, out of the viewers who can be a stakeholder, be able to.
Exactly. Correct.
All right. There is a question about, let's see. Yeah, that is correct.
Exactly. So,
and that's why I said, man, it'll make our life easier. Call it author or something like that.
There are challenges because you coming from a Microsoft ecosystem may like a name something, but The problem is if you look at other planning software, they
Yes,
call
don't
it a
make it
model.
everything Copilot.
Yeah, so other people call it I'm a planning art developer. I'm a planning modeler. People, so it's we just try to say planner. It's
Yeah.
a
And this is an easy answer. Does anybody need Power BI person? Nobody needs. These are all Fabric artifacts. There is nothing. You're using Power BI semantic model. The semantic model owner would need a Power BI Pro license as a developer. But other than that, if you make a direct lake, I don't know. I need to check. If you're making direct lake, it might be a Fabric artifact. For that, you might not even need Pro license.
Yeah.
But no, you do
There's
not
a
need
very
Pro.
good question from Jeff. The beauty of Fabric planning is everything comes with a full audit trail of who changed what.
Oh, let's talk about that. Yes. Can you give us a little bit more clarity on that?
You can actually
show. I think this is like Gopal. It would be a good feature to showcase that every single part, like the question we have in the board meeting, like I did not put that number in. We're gonna be able to trace.
You can click at a cell level, row level, or a column level, and it will give you a full trail of who changed what and when. Basically, we don't have to write a code or go behind the app. The app itself has full change log audit trail, basically. So this is one of the reasons that made our offerings very popular with the Power BI compared to other solutions, right back solutions. Our came with a built-in audit history.
All right, I think maybe we can do one more question. This one, maybe this is the last one we take. The same question came from, so this is a good one, right? We love Excel. Can I upload my Excel file and start planning from there?
Yes. So I would if there was a time, I would like to actually, if people try, there is an option to import from semantic model. You can use semantic model as a starting point, or import from Excel and then use that as a starting point where my stuff. So both in Power Table, we can let you upload an Excel spreadsheet and load it into a table, or from a planning sheet, you can actually use Excel as a starting point, actually.
Okay. So I think for all the Excel lovers, we're good.
Yeah, I think there is a question about our info river. I think I will try to address that as well. The info river BI, the certified visuals, there is no change to that. We will continue to support. We will continue to offer the InfoRiver reporting matrix, InfoRiver Analytics Plus. The certified visuals stay as is. The only thing that is changing is our write back matrix and the editable. We are going to stop selling it to new customers, mainly because it would be confusing to the market that we have Fabric Plan and then we are selling two different planning solutions. But our current customers, we are going to support them for the next foreseeable future and then slowly, help them migrate. That's the plan. But we don't intend to, add to the confusion and do that.
So I just pulled my screen. This is a plan, right? If you notice, semantic model to get data, Excel CSV to get started. We have our good old Excel, and then the 3 types of sheets that we have in specialized for each function. One thing, there's a question, it's not as relevant, but there's a one-leg security question.
Right now, it's a very valid question.
This one, Gopal, because I'm with you, Nagasatya, right? I don't think it applies because I'm going to get burned for this, but one-leg security when GA doesn't even support warehouse. I hope this comes soon, but the way you want to look at the security perspective, Nagasatya, is that the security on the data, the Fabric SQL, the user should not have access to Fabric SQL. The user should not have access to Fabric SQL because that's the data layer application. The same reason we don't give access to the ERP CRM database access to business users. They are accessing the application. The Fabric SQL is in a separate workspace that has its own security. But the reason, like for example, the beauty of Power BI, right? We use RLS and the same concept applies. The good old stuff.
No, I want to add to that. The beauty of Fabric Plan is we inherit the RLS from the semantic model. So you don't have to set up RLS again. So
that's what I love Power BI. So I mean, like from that perspective, right? It does that. I mean, I would love one-leg security to work, to be honest, but I think that one, I have strong opinions about. I mean, it's like an amazing feature, but it's not complete. It just works for lakehouses right now. All right. So with that, I think maybe let's call it a day. I think thank you everyone for joining. We will, from the data crafters, we'll go ahead and post out the entire presentation, and then you'll soon see an announcement coming out for the first session for the, I think it's I believe it's on the May 7th where we're doing this. And so you'll get all the resources that we showed and whatnot, and then stay tuned. The easiest way to stay tuned is like you can find Gopal and whatnot. And from our perspective, we'll be rolling out a bunch of stuff. Like as you saw, the fabricplanning.io. I'm going to try to make that central place where I push out all this content. I'm trying to find some of my good friends and MVPs and whatnot. We'll start to walk you through how you build this.
I want to add a couple of things.
Go ahead, Gopal.
We are working on putting out a lot of video tutorials. So if you both the documentation, the Microsoft documentation, and then on the Lumal website also, we are trying to get a lot of videos up. In general, you should be able to do anything. That's the beauty. This is a horizontal product, so you can actually tie cost to do anything. You can pretty much do any scenario. We will put out examples, videos, tutorial. There shouldn't be, we can't do this.
Let me end with this, right? There's a question right now, as you can see on the screen. Is it possible to do cost forecasting and whatnot? It's like Excel. You can do whatever you can design and it will work. Exactly. It doesn't have the limitation. It has the whole shebang. It has the visuals, it has the write back, it has the info bridge. You'll soon figure out why that is useful, right? The key things I'll say is start simple and then build from it. So if you have a use case, clean up your data first. But from a deployment perspective, most people have mastered the challenge, right? So clean up your data. But what you're saying, Stephen, is it possible? Think about it. If you could do it in Excel from a planning perspective, you can do it over here. The main part for you to is learn something that you can plan today, build on your success.
Yeah, you have to invest a little bit. How when Power BI came out, you invested in learning DAX, and you have to invest a little bit. As much as I say it's no code, but we will work on educating you. We will invest into it. Please bring your questions and challenges. But the vision is we want to be able to cover all your use cases and make you a very satisfied planning customer inside on top of your Power BI semantic models.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I mean, I think we had over a couple hundred people that actually, we had 700 registration, and then I think we at one point over 200 that watched live. So thank you, everyone. Sorry, we took 15 minutes extra of your time, but as you can tell, I'm very excited and there's more to come. Thank you. And if I didn't get to your question, guess what? We'll get that updated in FAQ if it makes sense to make it update over there. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.